YouTube, welcome back to another video. So today, video we got NBA myths. Wait, hold up.
The only thing more exhilarating than being a kid at an NBA game behind the basket is...
Bro, I can't pronounce nothing right. But let's get straight to today's video. We all believe
being a grown man behind the basket distracting the other team from making free throws. Sit in this section at any basketball game and there is
excuse me, my bad, Chad.
home teams and their fans will make to try to get the opposing team to miss a few shots at the charity stripe. Fans with signs, fans dousing themselves in paint and insane outfits.
What
Those
the world?
dreadfully loud thunder sticks they hand out before the game. Mascots themselves getting in on the action. The only problem is, fans attempting to distract free throw shooters at the line doesn't work, like, at all. Over the years, researchers have done numerous studies into this topic.
What the world, bro?
Distracting free throw shooters essentially has no effect on the results of their shot. When comparing free throw shooting of teams playing at home versus away, a negligible difference was found in free throw percentage. Over the last 25 seasons, home teams have shot just 0.2%.
I need your 2K face cam for the
suggesting that
league.
efforts made by fans of the home team have no
I'm
effect
making.
on performance, and that even the 0.2%.
Wait, you want my 2K face cam?
Due to other factors. Years ago, sports science conducted an experiment testing this theory: how or if fan distraction affects the shooting efficiency of players at the line.
Were you trying to make a Mario build?
And they came back with the same results. It does not. Despite the effort,
You trying to make a Mario build or something, Andrew?
players at the line virtually doesn't affect their performance at all.
Nah.
However, there is a different way fans can dramatically affect
Alright, I got
free
you.
throw
Hold
shooting
up.
in NBA games, and that is by not going to the games.
You were bound by the chains of
I got you after this video.
until true love turned the whole world on its head.
After years of attempting to create controlled environments for these studies, researchers were given the perfect sample on the effects of fan interaction and player performance due to COVID and social distancing back in 2020 and 2021, where the NBA had a season and a half of games featuring 0 fans. And after gathering the data, researchers found that free throw percentage jumped up by 3 to 4% without fans in attendance across the NBA, from about 76% to 79%, a percentage that fell back down to the long-standing league average of about 75%.
You can play as your 2K player.
The following season. In fact, their data showed that having fans in attendance affected home teams equally as much as away teams. Overall, it was found that the largest variable that had an effect on free throw shooting was the circumstance of the game. How close the score was, how late in the game the shots were taken, and how important the free throws were.
LeBron.
So, although there isn't much you can do as an individual to affect the outcome of free throws, if no one is in attendance and there is absolutely nothing at stake, your team might just hit those free throws. But this is just one of many misconceptions NBA fans have been led to believe for years.
I don't think nobody missed though during the bubble.
Some of them true, others just a myth. Today's video is sponsored by SeatGeek. During a Warriors practice, Steph Curry pulled off a nearly impossible feat. Over the course of 5 minutes, Steph hit 105 consecutive three-point shots. 105 in a row. Most of these shots not even touching the rim. But Steph is the greatest shooter in the world, so you would think a feat like this should be in the realm of possibility for him. And technically, it is. If we assume Steph shoots about 95% from 3 in an empty gym during practice with...
Wait, what? Is your sound low? Wait, hold on.
Defense, the chances of him making 105 threes in a row...
Hold on. Well, you say can you hear the video?
...is less than 0.5%. Possible, but there might be something else...
Wait, can you hear it now?
...going on here.
Can you hear it now?
After this clip surfaced, many fans began speculating...
You get a video now or no?
The hot hand theory, an old myth that a player who makes a sequence of shots has
We
a
good?
greater chance of continued success in the subsequent attempts. And NBA fans will be the first to tell you that the hot hand is a very real thing. We've all seen the hot hand catch fire in real time, when a few good makes seems to be the direct cause of a few more good makes. If you've played basketball, you've probably felt this yourself. Except, research says otherwise. In 1985, researchers crunched the numbers and found that there was no correlation.
Hi, I'm on the bus. Oh man, we got Ray here now.
This research was groundbreaking at the time and called the idea of the hot hand a
What's up,
fallacy,
Ray?
a myth. However, recently
How's
further
school
research
going?
was done on this topic. A lot of research. And what they found was that the hot hand does in fact exist. Contrary to the research done in 1985, with the advent of modern technology, tracking data, and more detailed shooting logs, many studies have shown that when a player makes consecutive shots, the chances of their following shot going in actually does increase. Now, the results of each study are heavily dependent on the sample of players.
Wait, what do you
With
mean
one
about
sample
that?
seeing a 3 to 4% increase in shooting percentage in these hot hand moments. Another sample of players getting an 8% boost in shooting percentage, and a third sample getting a 12% increase in shooting percentage after hitting 3 shots in a row, as opposed to missing 3 shots in a row. Despite the variance in the overall effect of the hot hand, the results showed that there is a very clear correlation between making your previous shots and the expected outcome of your next shot. But in 2022, researchers at the University of Pittsburgh took this one step further by not just studying the shooting habits of players at practice in controlled environments, but actually gathering data from live games. After analyzing 170,000 field goal attempts in NBA games from the 2014 and 2015 seasons, pulling from play-by-play logs and player tracking, and comparing expected results against actual outcomes, they found that the hot hand was not only real, it had dramatic effects on the performance of certain players. Specifically, 30 players showed a statistically significant hot hand effect. After hitting 2 shots in a row, these players were 2.7% more likely to hit the third. After 3 straight makes, the boost grew to 4.4%. And after 4 straight makes, the likelihood of hitting the next shot jumped by nearly 6%. Their data also showed that the hot hand...
Matter of fact, have you guys ever, like, played... Thing, bro. Well, if you, like... You ever won like a game in IRL, like basketball? Let's just say, you play part or, you actually play... Like, have you ever, win a whole game without missing?
...is not a constant around the league, but instead varies from player to player, suggesting that it's not about how good of a shooter they are or how well they can score, but rather how each player reacts psychologically after making or missing a shot. A phenomenon that was dismissed for decades, but those who've played basketball knew all along was a real thing. In general, research shows that the success of previous shot attempts does in fact increase the chances of success in the following attempts, proving the existence of the hot hand. 10 years ago, Klay Thompson set an NBA record by scoring 37 points in a single quarter. Even crazier is that he shot a perfect 13 for 13 from the field, 9 for 9 from 3, and hit both of his free throws. 37 points, 1 quarter, not a single miss. Based off of his shooting splits from that season, the chances of him...
Matter of fact, yes, against you 2K.
0.00.
I said IRL. I said IRL. I said IRL. I'm not talking about a video game. I'm talking about IRL.
2%. So,
as a matter of fact, we gonna play one-on-one one day.
His hands were on fire.
I'm gonna make sure you ain't getting nothing. Not even 1 bucket. You ain't scoring on me in IRL. I'm telling you, it's clamps. It's over for you, Andrew. You 1v1 me in IRL. You won't be looking. It's over.
This is 14-year-old Jeremy Gohey, one of the highest-ranked basketball prospects in the world in the class of 2028. Lately, Jeremy's name has received some extra buzz for his recent performances and the accelerated progression his game has seen over the last year. But there's one quality in particular that makes Jeremy one of the most unique prospects in the world. The fact that he is 7 feet 6 inches tall. A 14-year-old running around with kids half his size.
What many parents be feeding these kids nowadays?
And with each passing year, it seems that these larger-than-life prospects are becoming more and more common. Every other week, a new name popping up with a height next to it that looks like a typo. And many of these prospects aren't playing a traditional back-to-the-basket big man role. They're facing up, running in transition, and using skills that you would usually associate with wings, smaller players, and perimeter guys, which has led some fans to believe that at this rate, the NBA will one day be exclusively full of mega giants at every position in possession of skills they have no business having.
You know, it's really gonna be hard for Americans just to get into the NBA. For the ones like who are like tall and stuff like that, it's gonna be really hard because like it's guys in other countries that's like 7'3", 7'4", 7', 7'1". It's gonna be really hard for guys to just try to get into the NBA, like for real talk.
But this idea that
I ain't trying to down nobody or nothing. I'm just saying though, it's gonna be really hard in the future though, cause like it is true the NBA gonna be having like mega giants.
The league full of Victor Wembanyama's is a myth, at least for the foreseeable future. Finding players over 7 feet, let alone 7'6", with the tools to become serviceable NBA players is as rare today as it's ever been.
Like, bro, I feel like in the future, like, we finna be having point guards that's at least like 6'8".
In fact, finding 7-footers who can stay in the league at all is a difficult task. In 1990, 10.2% of all players in the league were at least 7 feet tall, and up until about 2010, they remained about 10% of the league. But then this number slowly began to fall. Each season, pure size playing less of a factor in the league. The market share big men once had began to shrink, eventually ending up where it is today, where 7-footers make up just 6.5% of the NBA. Nearly half of where it was 35 years ago, with every inch above 7 feet exceedingly more rare. The league featuring just 1 to 6 players 7'3" or taller at any given time for the last 3.5 decades, a rate that has not increased in recent years. Now, looking into the future, there is currently only 3 players taller than 7 feet on the 2026 NBA mock draft board. 2027 also features just 1 player over 7 feet tall projected to be drafted. And if finding the oversized talent wasn't hard enough, developing it is almost impossible. Throughout the last 10 drafts, 37 players who are 7 feet or taller were drafted. Of those 37 players, 25 of them are still in the league. And of those 20,
Trey Holmgren is still.
Only 4 of them have a game that is even somewhat utilized on the perimeter. But this list includes every 7-foot draftee in the entire league. If we exclude players under 7'2", then a decade worth of supersized big man talent gets reduced to just 4 players. Now, at the moment, there are 339 players who are currently listed as NBA prospects through 2027. These are players who are either being scouted by teams across the league or have NBA potential, according to analysts. Of these 339 players around the world, only 6 of them are at least 7'2". And of these 6, 1 of them is projected to be drafted. Regardless of what you see online, players with this size, let alone guard skills, are still extremely rare, and there are virtually none of them currently in the NBA prospect pipeline. So, no, the NBA will not be a league full of Wembys anytime soon.
Oh, I thought I was ended. Are you sure about that, though?
The whole entire point of sports is to win. That is the ultimate goal of every player, every team, anyone who's ever competed in a sport. And yet, in the NBA, teams are incentivized to lose. Well, not all of them, just the bad ones. Since the inception of the NBA draft lottery in 1985, tanking has been a common strategy to land top draft picks and potentially climb your way out of NBA irrelevance. If you're having a bad season, might as well make it a little bit worse to better your odds at getting a top pick in the draft. But the validity of tanking and if it actually works long term is still a topic of debate. Does blowing up an entire season or two really increase the chances of a team winning more games and contending for a title in the
Bro,
future?
Jordan.
Well, this shouldn't
The
even
court
be
had to
a
be
question,
slippery or
because
something.
this myth is true. Tanking for top draft picks is not only extremely effective, it is the fastest way out of the pits of NBA standings. Between 1966 and 1984, the team with the worst record in the league had a 50% chance of
Did I
winning
play the
with
skate
top
game?
pick.
Nah, not
A
yet.
coin toss. Like a literal coin toss between them and the team with the second worst record. But teams took advantage of this, so over the years those odds have decreased drastically to where they are today, where the 3 teams with the worst records in the league each have a 14% chance of getting the first overall pick. 1 in 7 odds. Odds that are so slim that it shouldn't be worth throwing a whole season away for. And yet, the worst teams in the league continue to take those odds year after year. Because it works. From 2000 to 2020, the teams that landed with the #1 overall pick in the draft averaged just 34.8 wins per season in the 3 seasons leading up to their tanking season. Then, of course, most of them tanked for that #1 pick, averaging just 25 wins in those tanking seasons. But then they bounced back, averaging nearly 41 wins in the 5 seasons following their #1 pick. A nearly 15% increase in wins from before winning the draft lottery to after winning it. But this boost in success doesn't just apply to teams who won the draft lottery, because here are the average records for teams who landed with the 2nd and 3rd overall pick in the draft. Teams who also saw a notable boost in wins after landing a top pick. In fact, on average, teams won 5 more regular season games per season in the 5 years following a top 3 pick in the draft. Now, where the real difference comes in is the playoffs, where teams who won the #1 overall pick in the draft lottery averaged just 0.6 playoff wins per season leading up to their tanking season. In the 5 years following their first overall pick, they averaged 3 playoff wins per season, 5 times the amount of playoff success they had prior to their pick and prior to tanking. And again, teams that landed with the 2nd and 3rd pick also saw a drastic increase in playoff success in the 5 following seasons. Use any metric to determine the merit of tanking in the NBA, and you'll find that if teams are willing to be horrifically bad for 1 season, they will more than likely bounce back better than they were before they tanked. Even when teams don't select a player who turns out to be a franchise cornerstone, on most occasions they still end up flipping that player for valuable assets, making a top pick in the draft extremely valuable under almost any circumstance.
The Heat supposed to want this during this time. The Heat supposed to won that.
Tanking has been so effective for so long that
that right there was fake for real.
has tried everything in the book to mitigate the advantage it grants teams. And still, even after reformatting the draft lottery 4 times, the overwhelming advantage lies with the team who is willing to be horrifically bad. Now, the catch here is that very rarely, if ever, does tanking lead to a championship. The reason for this being that chronic losing usually happens within dysfunctional organizations, which then pushes these bad organizations to tank, which then leads them to getting top-end talent that never gets developed, utilized properly, or built around because the organization is bad, which inevitably leads to more tanking. So if a team's goal is to win a championship, well, they're probably not in a position to tank in the first place. But if they just don't want to be an NBA bottom feeder anymore, then tanking is unfortunately an incredibly viable option.
Dang. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe to the channel. It's your boy 25 Mario. I'm out. Peace.